Is Julie Murray still a member of this?
I will now call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting. Commissioners, is there a motion to adopt the final agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Iverson and second by Commissioner Sikora. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Our next order of business is to adopt the minutes from our July 18th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Ream and a second by Commissioner Iverson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Now moving forward to our discussion items. We have 2 items for discussion and action on our agenda tonight. The first item is election of vice chair for the remaining 2023 Planning Commission meeting year, running August 2nd of 2023 to March 31st of 2024. Commissioners, can I have a nomination for vice chair?
I would like to nominate Christian Peterson.
We have a motion for, is there a second for this nomination?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for Commissioner Pedersen as vice chair. Commissioners, are there any other nominations?
Are we?
I would like to nominate Eric Ream.
Okay. We have a motion. Do I have a second for this nomination?
I second that.
Okay. I have a motion for Commissioner Ream as vice chair. Are there any other nominations? We have 2 motions for vice chair commission. I will bring both these motions for a roll call vote. First motion for Commissioner Pedersen. Commissioner Yumo. Yay or nay?
Nay.
Commissioner Westman.
Nay.
Commissioner Iverson.
Yay.
Commissioner Ream.
Nay.
Commissioner Pedersen.
Nay.
Commissioner Sikora.
I've done it before. If no one else wanted it, I argue.
Commissioner
We
Sikora.
talked about it.
Based on that, nay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kuhn, nay. The second motion is for Commissioner Ream. Commissioner Yumo.
Yay.
Commissioner Westman.
Yay.
Commissioner Iverson.
Yay.
Commissioner Ream.
Yay.
Commissioner Pedersen.
Yep.
Commissioner Sikora.
Yay.
Chair Kuhn votes yay. Thank you. The motion carries for Commissioner Ream to be the new vice chair for the remaining year.
Congratulations.
And thank you,
There
guys.
you go.
Our second discussion item in our agenda tonight is the final plat and PUD rezoning of Hunter's Glen. I will now turn it over to Brian McCain, the city planner, for your staff presentation.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. As mentioned, tonight we have a final plat and PUD request for Hunter's Glen. The major subdivision process includes 3 stages, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Tonight's request is at the final stage, which is the final plat for review of final details for the development and finalization of the development agreement, etc. So a planned unit development's purpose is to allow innovative, creative, and flexible development that is sensitive to environmental, cultural, and economic considerations in partnership with public values as outlined in the comprehensive plan. So the process includes acceptability at the sketch plat, then details during the preliminary plat, and then the ordinance adopted at final plat. Existing conditions for the property include current and historic agricultural land use of the site. There are some wetlands currently there. They have 2 heritage trees, which are worth noting on the property. And then the site is also adjacent to 3 dead-end roads for adjacent developments and is directly north of Marsh Lake Road. The sketch plat was reviewed in November of 2022. Some notable discussion points were the side yard setbacks and the roadway alignment, and then it was reviewed by the Planning Commission and the City Council for preliminary plat earlier this year. Hunters Glen preliminary plat, they had proposed 22 single-family residential units at that time. They were required to reduce that number to 21 units, eliminating Lot 5, Block 4, as seen on the preliminary plat on the right. The subject area is just over 12 acres in size, a little less than 9 net acres when you exclude outlots for wetlands, filtration basins, etc. And then the density comes out to be approximately 2.5 units per acre. The allowed range is 2.25 to 6 for reference. The regulations that they're proposing, the number of lots is actually 21 units. My apologies. The minimum lot area, 8,500 square feet. Minimum lot width, 66 feet. Minimum lot depth, 125 feet. Side yard setbacks of 8 feet. Front yard setbacks of 25 feet. And the impervious surface coverage per property at 4,500 square feet maximum. These were approved at their preliminary PUD stage, but tonight we're seeking recommendation to the City Council to approve the final PUD request. The shoreland overlay you can see here, it encompasses almost the entire site. So during the PUD and platting process, the DNR provides their comments, which was already established during the preliminary phase. And they received variances to shoreland standards for the minimum or the maximum impervious surface requirement of 25% and the open space requirement of 50%. Here you can see the site's proximity to Marsh Lake and Wasserman Lake. So the shoreland PUD that was requested at the preliminary stage included their density determination and the 50% open space variance request. You can see in the table on the bottom of the screen the number of units allowed per tier with the density bonus, and then the proposed units of 21. And for the shoreland variances that were improved, the 34% impervious that I mentioned and the 30% open space. So landscaping buffers, they have a 40-foot landscape buffer off Marsh Lake Road, which you can see towards the bottom of the development, and then a 15-foot landscape buffer on corner lots along Red Fox Drive. So you can see there's some additional plantings here for those properties adjacent to Red Fox Drive. And then the buffer plantings meet the unit and species requirements. Here you can see kind of what it's going to look like from Marsh Lake Road for the berm and landscaping, and then the Catkin Way Road. So tree preservation and landscaping, they're removing 34 of the 41 existing trees on site. The replacement requirement was 33-inch trees. So you can see the total landscaping provided at the bottom in the table and on the screen on the right, including the different types of trees that they will be installing and those unit counts. For transportation and access, for Red Fox Drive, they have future connections for Red Fox Drive and Timber Terrace to Marsh Lake Road, and then for Catkin Way, an east-west extension is also shown. For proposed cost share, there is a portion of cost share available for the Red Fox Drive connecting Timber Terrace and Catkin Way. I would have Kara speak a little bit more on that, but she was unavailable to attend tonight's meeting. For utilities, the parcel will also be served with utilities, water and sewer by the connections for the adjacent developments, and then a water system loop, which would be important for service quality for the entire area. For trails and sidewalks, they will have a trail extension continued along Red Fox Drive down towards Marsh Lake Road, and then sidewalks extended through Timber Terrace to the north, and then Catkin Way from east to west, moved from the back of the curb. You can see with the green lines. For park dedication, the south half of this project site is in the neighborhood park search area, but cash in lieu was requested by the developer and is supported by staff because of transportation and access requirements, the wetland density requirements, and the access to Victoria Elementary. Stormwater management is subject to Minnehaha Creek Watershed District rules, and the developer is currently in process with the watershed. The stormwater, as mentioned, is evaluated by the city engineer and Minnehaha Creek Watershed. They're near final approvals. They're not quite there yet. The developer may want to comment on that during the meeting tonight. And then regarding drainage, my understanding is that the drainage will go into outlots A and B, which are a filtration basin and the existing wetlands, respectively. So here's a list of requirements from the preliminary plat approval. As you can see here, most of these requirements are either met or close to being met, including the rezoning, which we're reviewing tonight, and then preliminary plan approval, and then also working with the appropriate regulatory agencies, processing a development agreement, and obtaining necessary permits, complying with the city attorney's plat opinion, and then applying within 90 days of preliminary plat approval, removing the one lot, and then the contribution to Red Fox Drive, as mentioned earlier. So with that, staff's recommendation is the following recommendation points that were included with your packet and are also in the approving resolution. I did omit number 6 because there is not an HOA associated with this project. So sample motion for you tonight would be to recommend approval of the final plat and PUD for Hunter's Glen to the City Council with findings and conditions as presented and discussed. With that, staff is available for questions, and the developer is in the audience tonight.
Great. Thank you. Is there anyone in the staff, anyone in the chamber tonight that would like to comment on this item? Not hearing any more discussion. I would ask if the commission has any questions, comments.
Some questions. Do you have a copy of the last time we saw this? We had set out a laundry list of items that we thought needed to be addressed before, as we approved it that night.
Okay. I can search in the meantime. I'm not sure if I have that on hand, though.
It would be in our minutes, wouldn't it? I don't know if do these presentations get attached to our minutes?
You'd have to look back to the April 18th meeting on the website. I think it was April 18th was the meeting that we had the preliminary plat.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I know there was we had discussion about the drainage and.
We added a couple, but there was like 12 or 14 things that were on there.
Chair,
I think
if I could, while they're
Did they get addressed in?
I'd like to see that they were all checked off.
while Brian's checking for that, I can update you on one item. So there was questions or concerns about drainage at Planning Commission, and we met with the property owner who currently receives some drainage through this property. And typically when we meet with property owners and we're talking about stormwater issues, they're concerned about more water coming onto their site. So we were kind of prepared to, explain, well, we can't increase volume or flow or any kind of stuff. So we had a plan to either channelize it through the corner of their property with their permission just to avoid erosion issues, or if they weren't comfortable with that, to reroute it around the corner. They actually wanted to maintain the existing drainage through the corner because they like it. It creates kind of like a marsh-like environment, and they enjoy the wildlife and the vegetation there. So part of the reason we're still kind of at 99% with the watershed district is we had to tweak our basin plan just a little bit and raise the elevation of an outlet or something just to accommodate that request for it just to continue in the current condition. The neighbors like that approach. The cities said that meets their requirements, and Watershed has said the same thing. They're just reviewing kind of technical details. So that's one of the items I know that was discussed. last time.
So they,
Which neighbor was it the one right next
To
door?
the west,
west.
Korzanowski's.
Okay, Korzanowski.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they didn't care that it would increase.
It's not increasing, actually.
Didn't want it to go
The way the
back.
stormwater is designed is there's currently a rate and a volume that exists now.
Right.
And cities all require that you don't increase that
Right.
because it could create impacts to that property. So our initial design was to keep it where it's allowed to be, but to channelize it, and they wanted it just to kind of trickle or spread through the property like it currently does, so that they can maintain the existing condition of that corner because they liked it that way. And the city was fine with that. Watershed was fine with
Doesn't
that.
maybe somebody can explain this to me. Doesn't the impervious that you're adding completely change everything? If you put that, right now we have a field and a marsh.
Right.
If we put concrete, blacktop, and rooftops, now it's not going to work the way it currently works.
That's why the stormwater systems are so highly designed, is because they're meant to retain and manage the amount of water that's going on off-site after an event. And it manages it to the point where it does not increase from the current condition. I mean, every city requires that. So yes, there is more impervious. That's why these ponds are as large as they are and as highly designed as they are to manage that stormwater leaving the site so it doesn't increase. We have to demonstrate that to engineering at every city.
Yeah. So it won't increase beyond where it is right
No. And they did not want us to cut off the drainage because, again, they liked that particular corner of their property being a little bit wild, and we wanted to accommodate them if that was technically feasible.
So what is, to follow up on that, so like they've assessed what the volume is going to be, the drain capacity is able to channelize it, direct it to the offlots A and B. It's able to hold it in place until it either, kind of infiltrates or, evaporates or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Or it runs off at a controlled rate.
controlled rate.
Exactly.
Which is consistent with what it was before. So
Yes.
that's kind of I'm trying to remember, was it Westwood or who was
Yes,
the-
that's correct.
Yeah, that's what I was
Right.
recalling as well.
Right.
Okay. So the underlying, I understand the underlying engineering.
Did you get eyes on that, Brian?
Yes, Chair and Commissioners, I did find the minutes from that meeting. The three major items that were touched on and noted in the minutes include the temporary turnaround on Catkin Way from the adjacent development, stormwater management, and the site drainage.
what was done about the turnaround? Because I remember there being quite a bit of discussion around that with the current property owner.
So, Chair and Commissioners, there is one of the lots is being proposed to, if I can just pull it up here for example. Here you go. You can see this lot on the far east side of the site, lot 6 here. This will actually include a portion of the adjacent site, and then this will also take care of the turnaround for the connection to Catkin Way. Any adjacent development will require the extension of Catkin and will require the removal of that turnaround.
You're talking about the other end though,
Yeah,
Oh,
Chair.
oh,
Yes.
this, okay.
that one.
Yeah, that, I don't know the lot number, Brian, but that particular lot ended up being wide enough to where we could provide it on that last lot. And then we provided all the turning radiuses that are required for fire trucks and snowplows to demonstrate that that would meet their expectations. So we've, both city engineer and public works have looked at it and said that that meets the standards that would be required for adequate turnaround.
Are you, I could be misremembering, but I feel like the initial proposal was that you're gonna have to use the neighboring lot's land for the turnaround? Is that correct? Did you?
We
that
did have
addressed?
some discussions with them, just to see if that made sense. They have, if you're familiar with the property, they have a long driveway that comes from Marsh Lake Road all the way back to the property. Technically, it would work, but then we got into issues like, well, where does the snow get stored, and a whole bunch of other things that would be logistically difficult and wouldn't really enhance their property. So, you know, they were open to those discussions, but it became clear that we needed to find an on-site alternative that made some sense and didn't impact them. So
So it's all on site now.
it's on our lot, yes, yeah.
Perfect.
And that road just ends. It's just a square end.
It ends, and then there will be a, they call it like a hammerhead type turnaround where you pull in, back out, and then. Or
I think I see a little
I
bit.
guess
of it.
maybe a partial hammerhead. is
So it's
correct.
alongside that lot.
Yes.
Got it.
I have a question. That dotted line that goes across Red Fox, is that a proposed crosswalk down at the corner of Catkin and, or what's that?
Chair, that's correct. That's the proposed crosswalk for the sidewalk connection along Catkin.
Would we not put them at all the crosswalks? Like up on Timber Ridge and down on, like even going across Red Fox 90 degrees from that one? And then up by Timber Ridge and Red Fox, were those two pathways? Wouldn't you put crosswalks there too, or is it?
I don't want to speak for the Public Works and Fire Department. They evaluated the plans. I'm going to assume they determined that those weren't required at those intersections, but
And I know it's not that they're not collector roads, so it's, that could be why, but I'm just curious if you got pathways. I guess it'd be a question to ask either Public Works Care or whoever's appropriate that.
One more question. How did it, lot 5, that eliminated lot, so now is the lot 4 just gets a bigger lot, and then lot X from the other developer gets bigger as well? That land trade wasn't done or whatever, right?
That's correct. There was an outlot there that was part of the original plan. And, you know, based on council's approval to remove that lot, then it didn't make sense to keep that in there because part of the concern was an irregular shaped lot.
and they did.
Did you want to remove it, or did council want to remove it?
Council.
Council wanted to remove it.
Yep. So we did not acquire that outlot there, and that way we'd have just a straight property line along the east side, which was part of the concern. And so that additional space just got spread through those other 4 lots to make them a little wider. And then council also had concern with our impervious proposal, and so this makes those numbers better as well to have that one house out of there.
Right. I feel like I'm too chatty, but I got another. Can we go to the slide that has the impervious to 34% and then the shoreland variance?
And so can you remind me what the required typically is? And it's an improvement or it's approving it to get 234, and then same with the open space. What's the standard and what are we approving, the difference?
Correct. So the impervious requirement in the shoreland area is 25%. So that would be a 9% additional rise, which was already approved with the variance. And then a 50% open space requirement. So that was reduced by 20% for this development.
Thank you.
All right, my two questions. So the developer is building 2/3 of the Red Fox extension, is that correct? Couldn't get him to do the whole thing.
Chair and Commissioners, I'm not sure what previous conversations were held, but that's my understanding based on the image shown here is that a decent portion of Red Fox Drive will have some cost share, but the remaining portions will not. I'm not sure what that entails. If Mr. Tucker could elaborate.
Yes, well, yeah, the answer is we're building the road. The city council agreed to compensate us for a portion of that. And I don't remember all the discussion, but part of it was, it sounded like there was some allocated for another roadway connection in the area that they were looking to move here because I think at the council meeting, the city engineer, gave a lengthy discussion of the importance of Red Fox Drive and just all the considerations as far as community-wide transportation. So that's why there was a willingness to entertain some city contribution here. As I discussed, I think at the Planning Commission and certainly at City Council, this is just a site with a disproportionate amount of roadway. And so from a cost feasibility standpoint, to have a developer do all the roads in a case like this would be very difficult. And I know you've probably heard that from other developers, but this has definitely been a site that demonstrates that smaller is not necessarily easier.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of the reason that you received the variance for impervious surface is due to the fact that this is a collector road and it is a unique lot with a lot of different undevelopable areas. I guess my only thing that I would have a question on beyond that is what is the holdup with the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District and their approval?
Good question.
So the change that I mentioned in terms of working with the neighbors, that required some very minor modifications. But as you may be aware, every time there's a minor modification in a stormwater system, they have to review all this modeling and stuff like that. So we're literally at the 99% mark, and they just need some time to review that information. We're not ready to start utilities and all that anyway. We do have some stockpiling taking place with the watershed's permission, but we won't be grading until we wrap up that permit, which we expect early next week.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing no more discussion, I will ask for a motion.
I move to recommend approval for the final plat and PUD request for Hunter's Glen to the City Council with the findings and conditions as presented and discussed today.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, I got a motion made by Commissioner Pedersen and second by Commissioner Sikora. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Moving on to miscellaneous selection of our agenda. Ask staff if there's any miscellaneous items.
Yes, Chair and Commissioners, we do plan on still holding a meeting on August 15th. We don't have any application items yet, but we do have a few ordinances in the work that we'd like to talk through with you all. And then I know that I mentioned it in our one-on-ones, but we yearly orientation prior to that meeting in a workshop. So please let me know if you're available to attend the workshop and the regular meeting on the 15th. Otherwise, that's all that staff has.
When is the workshop? And
Yeah.
The workshop typically starts, if past occurrences has started at 5:15, it's about 45 minutes long, and then we would just go straight into the regular meeting after that.
And is there a way to do that as a one if I've got commitments with a family?
Yeah, we can do that at a later date if it doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioners, any miscellaneous items? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
second.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Ream and second by Commissioner Westman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.